The Arbiter's engines hummed softly as it drifted to a stop at the edge of Sector 7. Commander Roz stood on the bridge, his 4 eyes fixed on the vast emptiness of space before them. The patrol had been routine until now. "Commander, sensors are picking up something strange," said Officer Vex, his fingers moving quickly across the control panel. "Energy signature doesn't match anything in our records." Roz moved closer to the main view screen. "Show me." A tactical display appeared, showing a vessel of unfamiliar design. It was sleek but sturdy, with visible weapon ports along its hull. The ship was smaller than the Arbiter but radiated power readings that made Roz's inner eyelids blink rapidly in surprise. "Run another scan. This can't be right," Roz ordered. Vex completed the second scan. "Confirmed, Commander. The vessel has energy weapons and shielding technology and, sir, we're detecting life forms aboard. They appear to be human." A murmur spread across the bridge. Humans were known to the Galactic Council, of course, but they were classified as a primitive species that had barely achieved lunar travel. They certainly shouldn't have a ship this far from their home system, and definitely not one armed with advanced technology. "Open communications," Roz said, straightening his uniform. The Council had protocols for first contact situations, but this wasn't supposed to be a first contact. Humans were already in the database as a non-spacefaring species. The main screen flickered, and the image of a human appeared. He had dark hair cut short, and eyes that showed no fear, only calm assessment. He wore a simple dark uniform with small insignia on the collar. "This is Captain Lee of the Earth vessel Thunderbolt," the human said in perfect galactic standard. "State your intentions." Roz felt his neck scales rise in alarm. How did this human know their language? "This is Commander Roz of the Galactic Council patrol vessel Arbiter. You are in Council space. Identify your purpose and power down your weapons immediately." The human, Captain Lee, showed no reaction to the command. "We are on a peaceful mission of exploration. Our weapons are defensive only and will remain powered. We mean no harm to your vessel or the Council." Roz's tail twitched with irritation. "Your planet is not recognized as having achieved interstellar capability. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded for inspection." For the first time, the human showed emotion, a slight smile that didn't reach his eyes. "I'm afraid that won't be possible, Commander. We respect the Council's authority in this sector, but we will not disarm or allow boarding. We are simply passing through." "Your ship shouldn't exist," Roz said, abandoning protocol in his confusion. "Human technology isn't capable of—" "Things change," Lee interrupted. "Earth has progressed faster than your records indicate." Vex approached Roz and spoke quietly. "Sir, new scans show their weapons are powered but not targeted at us. Their shield technology appears similar to our Phase 3 designs, but with modifications we've never seen." Roz tried to process this information. A species jumped from primitive space travel to advanced interstellar capabilities without anyone noticing. It wasn't just unlikely, it should have been impossible. "Stand by," Roz said curtly, and signaled for the communication to be cut. The human's face disappeared from the screen. Roz turned to his communications officer, trying to keep his voice steady. "Send an urgent message to Central Command. Classification, security threat. Message begins. Unidentified warship detected in Sector 7. It's human and it's armed. Requesting immediate instructions and reinforcements." The communications officer nodded and began transmitting the message. "Sir," Vex said, "they're not making any aggressive moves, but they've adjusted their position to maintain distance from us." Roz watched the tactical display. The human ship, Thunderbolt, was perfectly positioned to either flee or fight. Their movement had been subtle but deliberate. "They're trained," Roz realized aloud. "Military training." The implications were disturbing. If humans had not only developed this technology but had trained crews and possibly a fleet of these vessels, the balance of power in this sector could be at risk. "Maintain position," Roz ordered. "Do not target them, but keep weapons ready. Until we hear from command, we watch and wait." As Roz stared at the image of the human vessel on the screen, one question burned in his mind. What else might the humans be hiding? Dr. Kim wiped his sweating forehead as he stood in the large room. 50 pairs of eyes watched him from the curved rows of seats. The United Earth Council had never been easy to convince, but today his task was harder than ever. "What you're suggesting is impossible," said Counselor Wu, tapping her pen on the table. "Faster-than-light travel has been a dream for centuries." Dr. Kim smiled and adjusted his glasses. "Not faster than light, Counselor. That's where everyone went wrong. My system doesn't try to move through space faster than light. It bends space itself." He clicked a button, and his diagrams appeared on the large screen behind him. The drawings showed complex mathematics and strange curved shapes. "Think of space as a piece of paper," he explained. "If you want to go from one end to the other, you can travel across the paper, or you can fold it and step across." The room was silent. Dr. Kim continued, pointing to another diagram. "And the defensive shield technology works on similar principles. It curves energy weapons around the ship rather than trying to block them directly." Defense Minister Yoon frowned. "And you've built this? Or is it just theory?" Dr. Kim smiled again. "I have a working prototype. Small scale, of course, but it functions exactly as predicted." 3 weeks later, after Dr. Kim's demonstration had silenced even his strongest critics, the Council voted unanimously to begin Project Thunderbolt. 5 years later, Captain Lee sat in the command chair of the finished ship. The memory of the launch ceremony was still fresh in his mind, the cheers, the hope, and the fear in people's eyes. Humanity was stepping onto a dangerous stage. "They're scanning us again," said Commander Park, looking at her screen. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls. "They're using different frequencies now, trying to get through our outer hull." Captain Lee nodded. "Let them look." "Sir?" Park seemed surprised. "Let them look," Lee repeated. "They need to understand we're not the primitives they thought we were." The bridge of the Thunderbolt was quiet except for the soft beeping of instruments. The crew of 15, Earth's best, worked with calm efficiency. They had trained for this moment for years. Lee's mind drifted to the beginning of it all, the crashed alien ship found deep in Arctic ice 30 years ago. Most of it had been destroyed, but the engine core and parts of the computer system survived. For decades, scientists had worked to understand the technology, making small breakthroughs. Then Dr. Kim had connected the pieces in ways no one else could see. "Captain," called Communications Officer Choi from his station. "I'm intercepting their transmissions. They're calling for reinforcements using high-priority codes," Officer Min added. "Their ship has changed position. They're keeping their weapons ports aligned with us." Lee nodded, unsurprised. He had expected this reaction. The aliens had watched Earth for centuries, categorizing humans as harmless. That mistake was about to cost them. "Should we power up the main drive?" Choi asked. "We could be 3 systems away before their reinforcements arrive." Lee considered this for a moment, then shook his head. "No, we stay. Let's see what happens next." "Sir," Park said quietly, moving closer to his chair. "If their reinforcements arrive with hostile intent, then we show them what we can do," Lee interrupted. "The Thunderbolt was built for this, Park, and the Guardian and the Phoenix are only 2 jumps away if we need them." Park's eyes widened slightly at the mention of Earth's other 2 warships, currently on patrol in nearby systems. "You think it might come to that?" Lee touched the small screen built into his chair arm, bringing up an image of their ship. The Thunderbolt looked deceptively simple from the outside. Sleek, functional, with none of the excessive design elements the alien craft seemed to favor. But inside it contained technology that would shock the Galactic Council. "I hope not," Lee said. "But it's time the galaxy learned about us. We've hidden long enough." Through the main view screen, the alien patrol ship hung against the backdrop of stars. More would come soon. Lee felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders, not just for his crew but for all of humanity. "Maintain current status," he ordered, "and prepare a complete data package on Earth and our capabilities. When their commanders arrive, I want to be ready to talk." The crew returned to their duties. The waiting game had begun. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council shook with angry voices. High Counselor Zim, his blue skin flushed dark with stress, slammed his fist onto the polished stone table. "Order! We must have order!" he shouted. But the 47 representatives from across the galaxy continued their heated arguments. The emergency meeting had been called just 6 hours after Commander Raz's message reached Central Command. News of an armed human ship traveling freely through Council space had spread like wildfire. "Impossible!" cried the Valerian representative, his thin body trembling with agitation. "How did they develop a Class 4 civilization without our knowledge? Our monitoring stations on their moon should have detected this. Our records clearly show they were barely achieving orbit a century ago," added the Mazarian delegate, her feathered crest rising in alarm. "Something is very wrong with our intelligence network." The chamber, normally a place of calm debate, had descended into near chaos. Some representatives demanded immediate military action. Others called for caution. A few even suggested the humans might have been helped by enemies of the Council. From the side of the room, a shrill whistle cut through the noise. Everyone turned to see Admiral Pax, the head of Council Defense Forces, stepping to the center floor. His weathered face showed no emotion, but his forearms were crossed, a sign of serious concern for his species. "If I may address the Council," he said, his voice calm but carrying to every corner of the room. Zim nodded gratefully. "Please, Admiral, share your assessment." The room fell silent. When the head of all Council military forces spoke, even angry, politicians listened. "Our intelligence division has been analyzing this situation since the first report," Pax began. "We have reached some troubling conclusions." He touched a control on his wrist, and a holographic display appeared above the central table. It showed Earth, then zoomed out to show surrounding star systems. "We believe humans have been listening to our communications for at least 3 decades. They've broken our encryption codes without our knowledge." Gasps echoed around the chamber. "Furthermore," Pax continued, "we have detected energy signatures matching the human vessel in 3 other systems near their home world. These appear to be small outposts, carefully hidden from regular patrols." The Valerian jumped to his feet. "This is an invasion. They're preparing for war." "We don't know that," Pax said firmly. "But what we do know is that this isn't a chance encounter. The humans have been planning this carefully for years. They've expanded into space without our knowledge, developed advanced technology, and only now have chosen to reveal themselves." A young junior counselor from a newly admitted world raised her hand nervously. Are they hostile, Admiral?" Pax's face remained neutral. "Unknown. But the ship our patrol encountered was clearly designed for war. Its weapon systems are—" He paused, searching for the right word. "Concerning. They appear to match or exceed our current military standards." The room erupted again, voices calling for everything from immediate attack to offering the humans membership in the Council. High Counselor Zim raised both hands, and gradually the noise subsided. For 300 years, he had led the Council through difficult times. His wisdom was respected even by his opponents. "We will proceed with caution," Zim announced. "Prepare a diplomatic vessel with representatives from major Council worlds. We must establish formal contact properly." He turned to Admiral Pax. "And quietly mobilize the Third Fleet. Position them in nearby systems, but keep them out of sight. If these humans prove aggressive, we must be ready." The Council members nodded in agreement. It was a balanced approach. As the meeting disbanded, Zim gestured for Pax to join him in his private chamber. When the door closed behind them, Zim's calm facade fell away. "What aren't you telling them, old friend?" he asked. Pax sighed, his shoulders slumping. "The human ship's design. Some elements remind me of the Void Swarm technology." Zim's eyes widened in shock. "That's impossible. All information about the swarm is classified at the highest levels." "I know. And yet, there are similarities that cannot be coincidence." Neither spoke for a long moment. The Void Swarm, a destructive force approaching from the galactic rim, was the Council's most closely guarded secret. Only the highest officials knew of the threat that might one day consume them all. "If they know about the swarm," Zim began. "Then the question becomes, how did they find out?" Pax finished. "And what do they plan to do with that knowledge?" Zim looked out at the stars through his chamber window. "Prepare the diplomatic team. And PAX? Choose people who can think quickly. I have a feeling we're not the only ones with secrets anymore. The council delegation of 7 aliens followed Captain Lee through the corridors of the Thunderbolt. They walked stiffly, their eyes darting to examine every detail of the human ship. The walls were clean and simple, without decoration, but the technology visible at every turn was clearly advanced. Ambassador Jiv led the group. He was tall and thin with greenish skin and large eyes. He had studied hundreds of species during his long career, but humans had always been classified as a minor race of little importance. Now, walking through this warship, he felt deeply uneasy. "This way, please," Captain Lee said, gesturing toward an open doorway. His voice was polite, but his eyes remained watchful. The conference room was spacious with a large oval table in the center. Through the viewports, the council ship could be seen, floating at a respectful distance. Commander Park stood near the captain, her face expressionless. Beside her was Science Officer Han, who smiled slightly at the visitors. "Welcome aboard the Thunderbolt," Lee said, bowing his head slightly. "Please be seated. We apologize for any alarm our presence may have caused." The aliens sat down carefully. One of them, with 4 arms and a scaled face, kept his hand near what appeared to be a weapon. Ambassador Jiv cleared his throat. "Your emergence was unexpected, Captain Lee. Our records indicated your species was pre-spaceflight. Basic orbital capabilities at most." Han's smile widened. "Yes, we know what your records say about us." He exchanged a look with Captain Lee. "We've been observing your quarantine beacons for decades. We deciphered your communication protocols long ago. We simply chose not to announce ourselves until we were ready." The delegation shifted uncomfortably. The quarantine beacons had been placed at the edges of Earth's solar system centuries ago to mark the planet as off-limits to advanced races. The fact that humans had found them, understood them, and chosen to remain silent was disturbing. "Ready for what?" asked Jiv, unable to keep a nervous edge from his voice. Lee's face became serious. "Ready to defend ourselves." He tapped a small panel on the table. A holographic image appeared above them. A swirling mass of darkness moving through space, consuming everything in its path. The edges of the mass seemed to shift and change, like a living thing. "We know about the Void Swarm," Lee said quietly. "We intercepted your classified communications. We know it's approaching from the galactic rim, and we know the Council has been aware of it for over a century." The delegation froze. The 4-armed alien reached for his weapon but stopped when Commander Park's hand moved to her own sidearm. "That's impossible," whispered one of the delegates, a round being with multiple eyes. "That information is protected by our highest security protocols." "How did you—" Jiv began, his voice shaking. "We've been preparing," interrupted Park, speaking for the first time. Her voice was firm and clear. "The swarm destroyed your previous allied races, the Drell and the Minorians. You've kept this threat hidden from what you call lesser species while building your own defenses." The delegation members looked at each other in shock. The Drell and Minorians had been officially recorded as having been destroyed by natural disasters. Their destruction by the Void Swarm was known only to the highest levels of Council leadership. Ambassador Jiv seemed to age before their eyes. "You misunderstand our intentions," he said finally. "We hid the swarm because we didn't want to cause panic among developing worlds. Many species would destroy themselves with fear if they knew what was coming." "Perhaps," Lee acknowledged. "But humanity has faced extinction-level threats before. Plagues, world wars, climate disaster. We don't hide from danger. We prepare for it." He touched the panel again, and the image changed to show 3 more ships similar to the Thunderbolt but larger. "These vessels are currently being completed in Earth orbit. 3 more are under construction. We have established defensive outposts in neighboring systems, and we have developed weapons specifically designed to fight the swarm." The aliens stared at the images in disbelief. "How?" asked the round delegate. "How could you develop so quickly?" Han stepped forward. 30 years ago, one of your scout ships crashed in our Arctic region. The pilot was dead, but much of the technology was intact. We studied it, combined it with our own ideas, And you kept this hidden from us, Jiv said. It wasn't a question. Yes, Lee confirmed. Until now. Why reveal yourselves now? Asked Jiv Dont. Lee's expression was grim. Because according to our calculations, the swarm will reach council space within 5 years, not 20 as your scientists predict. We can help each other, Ambassador Jiv. But only if you recognize humanity as equals, not as primitives to be quarantined and studied. The conference room fell silent as the full meaning of his words sank in. The Thunderbolt glided silently through space, flanked by 3 larger council warships. Captain Lee watched the dark nebula grow larger on the view screen. This mission was the first joint operation between humans and the Council, a test of their new, fragile alliance. 2 minutes to sensor range, Officer Min reported from the navigation station. Admiral Pax's face appeared on the side screen. The 4-armed alien commander still looked uncomfortable working with humans. Remember, Captain Lee, this is an observation. Mission only, Pax said firmly. We detect, we record, we retreat. No engagement with the enemy, Lee nodded. Understood, Admiral. When the transmission ended, Commander Park stepped closer to Lee's chair. He's afraid of what we might do, she said quietly. He's afraid of what we might see, Lee corrected. The Council has been hiding the true nature of the swarm for decades. The bridge crew worked in focused silence as the small fleet approached. The edge of the nebula, dark gases swirled like ink in water, hiding whatever lay within. Deploying sensor drones, announced Science Officer Han. Suddenly, Officer Choi's head snapped up from his console. Proximity alert. Multiple contacts emerging from the nebula. The view screen showed dark shapes materializing around them. Twisted, organic-looking vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They moved with unnatural speed, spreading out to surround the small fleet. They weren't supposed to be here, Park whispered. This was reported as a possible sighting, not an active swarm group. The largest council ship transmitted, all vessels, retreat immediately, formation Delta. But it was too late. 2 of the council ships were caught in glowing energy webs that stretched between swarm vessels. Their engines flared as they tried to break free, but the webs only tightened. The council ships are trapped, reported Choi. The 3rd is being pursued by 2 swarm vessels. Lee stood up, his decision made in an instant. Battle stations, weapons, free. Deploy countermeasures. The crew moved with practiced efficiency. The Thunderbolt surged forward, its engines pushing to maximum power. Launching drone swarm, Officer Min announced. From hatches along the Thunderbolt's hull, hundreds of small, disc-shaped objects erupted into space. Unlike conventional weapons, these human-designed drones flew in complex patterns around the Void Swarm ships. Where they passed, they left trails of energy that created interference patterns. The effect was immediate. The energy webs holding the council ships began to flicker and destabilize. One council ship broke free and immediately fled. The second remained caught, but the web was weakening. The largest swarm vessel is turning toward the remaining free council ship, reported Choi. They're charging weapons. Intercept course, ordered Lee. Full power to forward shields. The Thunderbolt shot forward, placing itself between the massive swarm ship and the council vessel. The enemy fired, a beam of swirling darkness that struck the Thunderbolt directly. For a moment the bridge lights flickered, but the ship held. Shield technology holding at 80%, reported Han, unable to keep the pride from his voice. Lee knew what the council officers must be thinking. The shield technology the Thunderbolt was using had been theorized by council scientists for decades, but they had never made it work. Humans had succeeded where they had failed. Target their main energy node and fire, Lee ordered. The Thunderbolt's main weapon discharged, not an energy beam or projectile, but a concentrated pulse that disrupted the swarm ship's molecular structure. The enemy vessel shuddered, then began to break apart. Seeing their largest ship destroyed, the remaining swarm vessels retreated into the nebula, releasing their final captive. The aftermath was quiet. The council ships regrouped at a safe distance from the nebula. Damage reports came in. One council ship heavily damaged, another with moderate systems failure. The Thunderbolt had suffered only minor damage to its outer hull. The main view screen activated, showing Admiral Pax. His expression was unreadable, but his voice carried a new tone. Respect. Your actions saved my crew today, he admitted grudgingly. Perhaps there is more to humans than we realized. Lee simply nodded. 1 month later, Lee stood in Earth's orbital headquarters alongside Dr. Kim and Commander Park. Through the massive window, they could see the Galactic Council's ceremonial vessel in orbit. On screens throughout human space, the ceremony was being broadcast. The High Counselor Zim formally welcomed Earth as a full member of the Galactic Council, the fastest admission in Council history. They still don't know about our other ships, Park whispered, referring to the 40 additional warships humanity had built in secret. They'll find out soon enough, Lee replied. The Void Swarm won't wait forever. As if responding to his words, a signal from Earth Command activated the hidden fleet. 50 Earth vessels, previously hidden by advanced cloaking technology, appeared in high orbit around Earth. The sudden appearance of so many warships caused gasps among the Council representatives. The message was clear. Humanity came in peace, but was prepared for war. Humanity doesn't just want a seat at the table, Lee said quietly, watching the Council members' shocked faces on the screen. We're here to ensure there's still a table when this war is over.